I was 8 months pregnant when my boss called me into his office. He slid 2 papers across his desk. First was my termination letter. Second was a patent application for my invention, worth $847,000. He smiled and said, "You're a liability now. Thanks for the idea. The company owns it. My name is Dr. Sarah Mills. And this is how my boss stole my baby's college fund while I was in the delivery room." Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted at work, comment stolen below. You're not alone. If you're new here, subscribe. Because today's story is about pregnancy discrimination, intellectual property theft, and how the IRS became my best friend. Let's start 2 years ago. In a lab. I was 32. Lead R&D engineer at Novatech Medical. Single, no kids, married to my work. My boss was Richard Klein, CEO, 52 years old. Called himself a mentor. He always said, "Sarah, you're the future of this company." I believed him. For 6 years, I worked 80-hour weeks. No overtime. No credit. Just promises. Then I invented it. The neonatal flow sensor. A $5 chip that could detect infant respiratory failure 4 hours earlier than any device on the market. It could save 200,000 babies a year. I designed it at home. On my own laptop. On weekends. Because Richard kept saying, "We don't have budget for new R&D. So I used my own time. My own money. I logged everything. 200 pages of notes. Dated. Signed. Witnessed by my sister. I showed it to Richard in March 2024. His eyes lit up. He said, "This is it. This is our billion-dollar product." He promised me 15% royalty. Promised to file the patent in both our names. I was stupid. I believed him. I handed him my entire research folder. Every diagram. Every line of code. He said, "Legal will handle it. You focus on testing." 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. Surprise baby. I was 34. Didn't think I could have kids. I told Richard first. I thought he'd be happy. He wasn't. He said, "Oh, that's inconvenient. Timing-wise." I laughed. Thought he was joking. He wasn't. Next 3 months, everything changed. My projects got reassigned. My meetings got canceled. My lab access was revoked for safety. Richard started saying, "Maybe you should work from home. Rest. For the baby." I was still hitting every deadline. Still sending reports. But he stopped replying. At 7 months pregnant, HR called me. Said there were performance concerns. What performance? I asked. I just delivered the neonatal sensor prototype last week. Under budget. They had no answer. Just said, "We need to discuss your role moving forward." December 12th, 2025. 8 months pregnant. 2 p.m. Richard calls me to his office. His lawyer is there. HR is there. On his desk are 2 documents. First document, termination of employment. Reason, company restructuring due to economic downturn. Severance, 2 weeks pay. My health insurance ends December 31st. My due date was January 10th. I started crying. I said, "Richard, I'm due in 3 weeks. You can't do this." He slid the second document toward me. Patent application #US 2025/001847. Neonatal flow sensor. Inventor, Richard Klein. Sole inventor. Company, Novatech Medical. My name was nowhere. My 200 pages of research were referenced in the application. As company work product. I said, "That's my invention. You promised me 15%. He leaned back. Smiled. Said, "Read your employment contract, Sarah. Page 9. All intellectual property created during employment belongs to Novatech." Even if I made it at home? I asked. On weekends? On my laptop? He shrugged. You used our knowledge. Our training. It's ours. And you're a liability now. Pregnant women are. Insurance risk. Lawsuit risk. Thanks for the idea, though. The board loved it. I was shaking. I said, "You can't do this. I'm calling a lawyer." His lawyer spoke for the first time. Said, "You can try. But you'll be in litigation for 5 years. Against our legal team. While you're a single mom with no insurance. Or, you can sign this NDA, take 2 weeks severance, and we'll forget this conversation happened. I didn't sign. I walked out. Went into labor 6 days later from stress. Emergency C-section. My daughter, Emma, was born December 18th, 5 pounds 1 ounce. Healthy. But I had no job. No insurance. $47,000 hospital bill. While I was in the hospital, Richard sold it. January 3rd, 2026. Novatech sold the exclusive rights to the neonatal flow sensor to MedCorp Global for $847,392. The press release called Richard a visionary inventor. My name wasn't mentioned once. I found out from a news alert on my phone. In the hospital bed. Nursing Emma. The article said, CEO Richard Klein's invention will save thousands of infants annually. I threw up. I called a lawyer. 3 lawyers. All said the same thing. Your contract is ironclad, Sarah. California is brutal for employee IP. If you made it while employed, even at home, they own it. Unless you can prove independent invention with 0 company resources. Can you prove you never once thought about it at work? Never emailed yourself a file? Never used the office printer? No, I couldn't. I had used my work laptop once to run a simulation. That was enough. Case closed. Richard got a $2 million bonus. Bought a new house. Posted it on LinkedIn. Hard work pays off. I was on food stamps. Selling my lab equipment to pay Emma's formula. I was broken. Until February. I was cleaning out my old work laptop before selling it. Found an email folder I had forgotten. Klein_personal. Emails from Richard to his personal Gmail. From his work account. In one email, dated 6 months before I got pregnant, he wrote to his wife. Sarah's getting close on the sensor. Once she finishes, I need to get rid of her. Pregnant women are lawsuit bombs. I'll wait till she's 8 months. HR says that's the safest. Terminate for restructuring. Patent will be mine by then. That $800,000 sale will cover the new boat. He planned it. Before I was even pregnant. He was waiting for me to finish the invention so he could fire me. The pregnancy just made it easier. I couldn't sue for the patent. But I could sue for something else. Wrongful termination. Pregnancy discrimination. But Richard was smart. He documented everything as restructuring. 12 other people were fired that same week. All men. All over 50. He made it look clean. So I did something else. I called the IRS. Whistleblower hotline. I reported Novatech for tax fraud. Because in that same email folder, I found another email. Richard to his accountant. Don't report the $847,000 as income yet. Push it to Q2. I'm using it to buy the boat first. We'll lose the invoice if anyone asks. Tax evasion. $847,000 of unreported income. The IRS loves whistleblowers. Especially when the CEO brags about it in writing. IRS opened an investigation March 2026. Froze Novatech's accounts. Froze Richard's personal accounts. April 2026, IRS raided Novatech offices. Found the server. Found the emails. Found the deleted invoice for the boat. May 2026. Richard Klein was arrested. Charged with tax evasion, wire fraud, and mail fraud. The $847,000 was seized. Plus penalties. Plus interest. Total fine, $2.1 million. Here's the part nobody knows. IRS has a whistleblower program. If your tip leads to recovery of funds, you get 15 to 30% of the collected amount. My tip recovered $2.1 million. I got 40%. Because I had emails. Because I had proof. Because he put it in writing. My cut? $847,392. The exact amount he stole. Richard took a plea deal. For years, federal prison. Novatech stock crashed 70%. The board fired him. The company went bankrupt. The patent for my sensor? It was invalidated. Because the IRS proved it was obtained through fraud. The patent is now public domain. Any company can use it. For free. Last month, Boston Children's Hospital installed the neonatal flow sensor in all 45 NICU beds. For free. They named it the Mills Censor after they read my story in the Wall Street Journal. They found my original notebooks. My sister had saved them. Emma is 5 months old now. Her college fund? $847,392. Sitting in a trust. From the IRS check. I framed the check. Hung it in her nursery. Right above her crib. Next to the patent application with MY name on it now. Richard writes me letters from prison. Begging me to drop the campaign against him. Says his family is suffering. Says he has cancer now. I don't reply. Because my daughter almost suffered because of him. Last week I got an email. From MedCorp Global. The company that bought the censor. They said, Dr. Mills, we didn't know. We want to license the censor properly. We want to pay you royalties. 5% of every unit sold. Forever. I said yes. But I had one condition. 50% of my royalties go to a fund for women in STEM who get fired while pregnant. It's called the Emma Fund. $200,000 in it already. Here's what I know now. If your boss calls you a liability when you're pregnant, start recording. If your contract says they own your brain, start a paper trail. And if they steal $847,000 from you, don't sue them. Call the IRS. Because the IRS doesn't care about your feelings. They care about their money. And they'll get it back for you. My name is Dr. Sarah Mills. My boss fired me at 8 months pregnant. He stole my invention. He sold it for $847,000. The IRS gave it back. With interest. My daughter's college fund is safe. My invention is saving babies. And my old boss? He's in prison. Making license plates for 23 cents an hour. If your boss ever stole from you, comment stolen below. If you're pregnant and scared of being fired, comment baby. You are protected. You are not alone. And sometimes, the best lawyer is the IRS.